Welcome to the Video Game Guide. This is your guide, Matthew, and I have something for you today. This is the love of Resident Evil games. Now, Resident Evil is a series. Yes, it is. I would actually say Resident Evil may have supplanted and surpassed Metal Gear Solid as my favorite series of all time. Or, I guess Metal Gear is my favorite series of all time because Metal Gear Solid is part of the Metal Gear series. But Resident Evil, for all the fun stuff and all the interesting truth droppy stuff of Metal Gear Solid and the Metal Gear games, Resident Evil is like the Illuminati series, leading right up to Resident Evil Code Veronica, where you have literally an Illuminati blonde, sort of Aryan child who is dressing up as, well, let's just say there are blonde Aryan children and Illuminati shit galore in Antarctica, an Antarctica base. I guess that is sort of a spoiler, but it was spoiled for me because I was like, oh shit, these characters. Yeah. In any case, in an Antarctica base, like maybe sort of a flat Earth thing there as well, the edge of the world, where you can't go, and here these characters are, and it's like all these bookcases upon bookcases upon bookcases. You read them. Oh, these are books on military history. These are books on management. These are useless books. I'd love to make a list of all of the bookcases. Perhaps you'll see a list here of bookcase after bookcase after bookcase after bookcase, lined up in different parts, whether it be the prison area or this area or the palace or that area, whatever mansion might be found in Code Veronica. And there are a lot of fucking places in this fucking game. This is like supersized Resident Evil. This is like if you like Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 on the PS1, I mean, then this is supersized that. All right. Resident Evil Code Veronica is the Resident Evil game for Illuminati references. By the way, it says Resident Evil Code Veronica, but with the X for Code Veronica X, it actually crosses out at the bottom of the X and at the top of the X. It crosses out everything just past the V, past the bottom of the V, past the top of the V, with the X, and so it's Code V, as in Code V, as in Coved. If you rearrange the letters, as in, what does that sound like? Code Resident Evil Code V. Crossing out Veronica, it's just Code V. Anyway, Code Veronica is the supersized Resident Evil experience. But what I'm talking about here is the classic Resident Evil games. Maybe Resident Evil 7 and 8 to some extent, at least 7. But I'm talking about you walk around in a relatively contained space, but with many rooms. You go through those rooms, and some of those rooms have something to do. They have items that you can interact with. Some of them have enemies. Some of them have weapons you can pick up and ammo. Resident Evil is a game about leadership. It's a game about responsibility. It is about taking control of your life. The old Resident Evil games, I mean, they're about going through a situation, charting out the area, figuring out where things are, and then figuring out what to do with what you have. And I got to a point in Code Veronica, which also has many of the sins of old Resident Evil games, or at least the things people don't like about them as much. I got to the point with Code Veronica where I was thinking, you know what, if I had made a chart of what rooms had what items all along the way, I would have been able to get through this. But I got to many points towards the end of like what ended up being sort of the first half of Code Veronica. And I don't want to give too many spoilers here. But I got to many, because I'd like you to play the game if you haven't played it especially. But I got to many points where I had no idea what to do. One of them, and perhaps only one of them, maybe a couple, but towards the end, perhaps only one of them, of the most recent main playing I've done, did I look online for a hint for. The other ones I sort of stumbled into the solution for, but you spend a lot of time in Resident Evil thinking, what am I going to do? Did I miss anything? What do I do with this item? What do I do with that key? Resident Evil is a game about patience. It's a game about responsibility, and it's about looking back and thinking about what you've done and what roads might be open to you. Now, RPGs I've praised in the past on Facebook, elsewhere. I've praised RPGs for their value in terms of leading a good life, living strategically, especially with some Final Fantasy games, especially towards the end when you get into like really retooling your party to make them strong enough to fight like certain enemies, or if you get like sort of stuck in a part where it's like, oh shit, I'm under leveled, and so you start like retooling your party, and it's like, oh, you know what, I'm starting to explore the systems of these games. I've praised that about Final Fantasy games and maybe RPGs generally. However, Resident Evil is the real-time experience of that. Resident Evil isn't about gaining levels and getting certain abilities and stuff. At least not the old Resident Evil. Not that the new ones really are about gaining levels either, but Resident Evil is about, first-person shooting or not, the old Resident Evils are about everything from Resident Evil 1 through basically Code Veronica, maybe Resident Evil 0, whatever came out later. They are games where you are taking the reins on your life, and it's actually very uncomfortable. It's like reading a book to play a Resident Evil game. You're sitting down, and it's quiet, maybe. Maybe there's some ambiance, maybe there's some music. But you're sitting in a room, and you've probably cleared the room, and now you're just sort of like on the edge of your tension, wondering, what do I fucking do? And the thing is, you know what the answer is? The answer is you get your supplies concise enough so that you have room to pick up other items, which you may find along the way. And yet you get your supplies full enough that you're going to be able to survive the journey. And so you leave that safe room with beautiful music, whatever Resident Evil game it is, safe rooms tend to have beautiful music. Although in Code Veronica, it seems that sometimes the rooms that you like save in, maybe they aren't particularly safe in some cases, but either way, like they don't always have that music. Although some say Code Veronica, I've heard Code Veronica stated as the best save room music. Anyway, Resident Evil. Maybe I'll do this whole video with different save room musics. Resident Evil is basically a series of journeys out of the safe room and the save room into the rest of the area that you're in, retracing your steps, tracking things back. Where does this item go? What do I do? Usually the puzzles aren't that hard. However, you may very easily get stuck in a Resident Evil game. You know why? Because there are just enough rooms. These games don't feel huge, but they feel just large enough that it feels like an anxiety attack to think about going through all of the rooms that you had been in recently, or even in the whole game so far, to find what you have to do. You feel like it's a dread. It's a heavy fucking dread that will crush you like the curtains of the universe. And so you strategize. You look at the maps. Sometimes in some Resident Evil games, the maps reveal a lot about what's in a room. Sometimes they reveal very little. For example, Code Veronica, they reveal very little. They say what room you're in by changing the colors. They reveal which doors are locked or open, which is actually kind of bullshit, because they'll say a door is locked before you even check the door, and so it's like, how did you know that door was locked ahead of time? But anyway, they'll reveal which door is locked and which door is open. And they'll reveal save rooms, and they'll make it a different color if you're in a given room maybe. But that's it. They don't give you much information. They'll give you a layout, etc. But they don't give you much information about what items are there. Oh, was there a conveyor belt there that you're going to have to go back and use maybe if you want to get past a certain part? Beyond that, Code Veronica hits you with some shit where, for example, there's a poison room where it felt like basically a deep level of despair, thinking, I can't believe I have to deal with these fucking regenerating, because usually Resident Evil enemies die at least for a while. But these, every time you go back to the room, totally regenerating moth creatures that lay some kind of egg on your back or something that hatches, and then you get poisoned when they attack you. And if you don't shoot those motherfuckers, and they have sort of an erratic flight pattern, and it's not as easy to shoot them because they are up in the sky, etc. You can shoot them, but if you don't shoot them, and there is auto aim, she will snap her aim to whatever enemy's closest to her, and thank goodness. And it doesn't feel like a cheap thing either. It actually feels like a tool the game gave you. A, to tell you if there are enemies that you can shoot at. B, to tell you that you're looking in the right direction. And C, to indeed give you that aim rather than making you twirl around. But anyway, Resident Evil isn't an action game. What it is you're facing down a hallway full of poison, but that hallway has an infinite blue herb. And you're going to realize that that is an infinite blue herb. And when you go up to it, when you don't have poison status, the herb will say, okay, I can't use this now. But when you go up to it, when you have poison status, the herb will say, you're healed. You're cured of your poison. Just that little bit, that little extension of love, of grace, of gratitude to the fans, continuing to play. But mixed with this horrible dilemma of this poison room just throws you for this emotional loop for a long period of time. And the save room in that area has this very grating, instead of the music it has, but it's probably more grating, maybe not, more grating probably than most of the sounds I made to replicate it. This grating sound of something banging against fucking metal. And it's just, so usually a save room is beautiful, but this save room, it's like, what? Because there was elsewhere in a similar location, in perhaps on the floor above, there was a zombie banging against a grating, and he's still locked there. So you're like, is that the zombie? But it's like, no, actually, there might be a secret in that room. There might be something in that room that you didn't check yet, that you didn't get to yet, or whatever, that you don't see, right? That you haven't looked at. Anyway, that room has its own emotional difficulty. Resident Evil is a series of emotional difficulties that you will either succumb, I don't know about succumb to, in a Dark Souls sense, succumb to in terms of not trying again, right? I think Never Knows Best, props to him. I like Never Knows Best, even if he's been a little ridiculous otherwise. But even if Never Knows Best said something, maybe it was from Never Knows Best, sort of like the only failure in Dark Souls is to stop trying. That's when you go hollow. That's the failure. You can keep regenerating. The game tells you, like, many of the games on the back covers or whatever, they say prepare to die on like the back of Dark Souls Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin. Prepare to die, or elsewise. They tell you you're probably going to die. You may die a bunch of times, but your failure is to stop. With Resident Evil, your failure is, this game is not stimulating me fast enough. And I mean the old Resident Evil games, again here. This game is not stimulating me enough. There's not enough going on. It's not fast-paced enough. I feel quote-unquote bored, or I feel the tension that was there already. I feel the emotional despair, devastation, or whatever it might be that was there already. And it's like reading a book. It's like sitting down to read a book. It's like they're not gonna give you a bunch of fucking like little level ups here and this thing and that there. They're gonna stick you in a place where fairly frequently, perhaps in a given game, you will be stuck and you will not know what to do, and you'll be like, unless I look at a guide, or I look at the map and figure something out, or I go back and just literally press X everywhere, I have no idea what to fucking do. And the solution may be with an item that you have since found, but it's like 3 fucking map areas away. For example, perhaps there's something in the prison with an item you find a little later that it leads you to something else that I found by looking online. Perhaps that happens. But if you were diligent along the way and you took notes about every single thing that you could interact with, I'm not saying you should. This may, for all I know, this may suck the fun out of the experience, or you may feel burdened by this. But if you were to have taken your own notes, you would have been able to probably look over those notes and see, what didn't I put something in yet? And though it doesn't show you on the map in the game, perhaps, you would see in your notes, oh yes, I didn't put, there was a slot for some kind of emblem maybe or something here, and I didn't put something there yet. Perhaps I have something now that can be put there. But my item box is all the way back in the palace, and I don't know where an item box is. I thought there was one closer, but it doesn't. That whole prison area, it seems like there's no fucking save point. I don't know what the fuck's over there. I look on the map, I don't see almost any shit at all. You know what? Resident Evil is about sucking it up. Or not even sucking it up. It's actually sort of like dragging your fucking face against the just hard, scratchy fucking sidewalk of your emotions. And it's saying, yeah, you want to play a game and you want to fucking escape? No, this is the game where you feel your emotions. This is a game where you are put right up against them and you are in agony thinking, how do I fucking proceed? And you look over those maps, then you think, wait a second, there's a door that I didn't open in the military training facility area. Ah. Or police station or whatever it is area. Ah. Well, you know what? This is my only lead. All right. This is the clear lead that I have to maybe follow. Let's go back to the item box. Let's put away some of this shit that I've been carrying around. Let's take the most likely key items that might be useful on this journey. Let's take some weapons and some ammo maybe, and take a healing item, and then we'll have just a few spaces maybe left for us to pick stuff up along the way. Let's go past these fucking tyrants that appeared in this hallway area, past this fucking sandworm. Let's go past this fucking blaring fucking alarm sound, and let's see what's happening on the lower floor of this area. And you have thought about it. You have really sat there and sort of discerned from the maps and from what they show you, even without having taken notes, you have discerned, you know what? I've seen just enough where it looks like this is my best way. And then you go there and you know what? There's something new. And with Resident Evil, getting to a new room, literally unlocking a new room, like unlocking the door of a new room in Resident Evil games, that's like leveling up in a fucking Final Fantasy game. You unlock a new door, you might have some new keys to help you elsewhere in the game. And then you think back to, where have I been? Now I found this item. What is that? What might that have to do with it? What might that have to do with it? What else? Whatever else I have done in this game. What might that have to do with anything? I don't know. What I will say, though, is that it's a constant process of consideration in Resident Evil games.